What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Hands-On channel. I wanted to talk to you guys today about an exercise I do from time to time just to make sure that I keep my head screwed on straight. You know, all of us get this way. Once in a while, we're at the store and we're like, should I buy some extra stuff? I mean, what is it? Is this prepping stuff really worth it? I mean, in the long run, is anything ever going to happen where I'm going to have to live off my preps? I mean, what's the deal? A lot of us that have been in this game for a long time have been hearing people, you know, saying it's going to be the end of the world for a long time. So myself personally, I've been prepping since basically 9/11. After 9/11, my wife and I started prepping because the sad reality is that we lost a lot of faith and trust in our own government and the abilities for the government to handle any sort of an emergency situation. So fast forward to 2019, 2020, I lost even more faith in the government over the whole CV-19, getting the thing, or you lose your job, all this other stuff that happened. And of course, when Biden came in, he made it mandatory, all this other stuff that has been terrible. A lot of military guys have lost their jobs. So anyhow, earlier tonight, I was sitting around and I thought, you know, I'm going to write down a list of 7 different reasons, what I'm prepping for, basically. Why am I prepping? First off, number 1 is World War III. I mean, I don't know if you've been watching the news or not, but, you know, Nancy Pelosi just went over to Taiwan. China threatened to basically shoot the plane down to begin with. Then they were doing all sorts of military exercises all around Taiwan. China is rattling the saber about Taiwan. They believe that they own that land. They believe that that's their land to seize and to take. And there's a long, convoluted history that you can look and study about. But when Mao Zedong came through, a lot of the former Chinese leadership went over to Taiwan and started a new nation, right? But China has this deal where it's called the One China policy, and if China ever owned it or thinks they owned it, they want it back. So that's what we're seeing here. You combine that in with the Belts and Roads initiative that China is doing all around the world. And I just read earlier tonight that Zelensky has invited Xi Jinping in to rebuild Ukraine. So crazy stuff is going on. Of course, you've got the Russia-Ukraine war going on. In recent days, Putin and Russia came out and said their number one enemy now is the United States of America. Well, if you remember, you know, not too long ago under Trump, that wasn't the case. So now all of a sudden, the other superpower in the world besides China and the USA are hooking it up with us, and that's Russia and Putin. So in my opinion, we should have never meddled in Ukraine back in 2014. We should have never set up all these different shell companies, and you guys have seen the news about the biolabs that they found over there. So let me ask you this. Could this be the biblical battle that's referenced in the Bible of Gog and Magog? I think that could be what's coming. I don't know. I have no proof of that, but that's what it feels like. So number 2 here, civil war. I mean, we all feel it. The sides, the red versus the blue, the right versus the left, have never been more divided. And there seems to be no more bridge connecting America to America anymore. So we have there are just 2 different Americas now. There's basically a woke culture that's run by Marxist and communist ideals and values. And that's what they're trying to push. And then that's versus the old-fashioned traditional American values, you know, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, things like that. We have a Bill of Rights. We have God-given rights. Well, that's all out of favor now by the mainstream woke tards that are, you know, running the country down the crapper right now. So we all know. I mean, let me ask you this. If it came down to it, red versus blue, who do you think would win in this hypothetical civil war? Who do you think would win? What side would win? Let me know down in the comments. I always love reading them. Number 3, economic collapse. I mean, obviously, we've got this out of control federal government that's basically spinning us into oblivion. They're doing it on purpose. Biden just agreed to send another $1 billion over to Ukraine. So they're doing every single thing they can to throw our money down the crapper. This latest thing, the Inflation Reduction Act, or whatever they're calling it, has been proven that it will only add to the inflation. You can't just keep printing trillions and trillions of dollars and expect nothing bad to happen. And they do know something bad's going to happen. I believe that's what they're trying to do, is collapse the dollar. That way we'll have no choice but to go into the New World Order's currency, whatever they decide. So let me ask you this. How long will the dollar last? What is your prediction? You know, another 6 months, 6 years, you know, 60 years, forever? I don't know. But in my opinion, I'm seeing signs all around that are showing me that they want to get rid of like paper, hard currency, and in favor of like digital currency. There's been all sorts of talk about that at the Fed and all that. So let me know what you think. Number 4, power grid collapse. I think this is a real issue, whether it be an EMP from some new enemy we've made because of the Biden administration's, idiotic decisions, and others. Also Obama was involved in that whole deal, upsetting the apple cart over in Ukraine, sticking our nose where it didn't belong. And that's what Putin is fighting against. The UN trying to come in there and do all this stuff. And I'll be honest, if I ran a country and I was the president of that country and I found out that the neighboring country had like 17 or 20 biolabs that could be used against me, I'd probably be pretty upset about it too. So power grid collapse is very likely. That could just be done by EPA restrictions. We're seeing all these EPA restrictions like down in Texas, and I've said for years they're trying to Californicate the United States of America. So if you remember, a couple of decades ago, we used to hear about on the news, oh, California's having all these rolling brownouts, and then basically that means they shut your power off for, an hour or so while they shift that power over to someone else who they deem needs it more than you. And you don't get a discount on your power bill or anything like that. You're just SOL, buddy. So that's not the America I grew up in. We had the land of plenty. We could have all the power we wanted to use and pay for. And Texas, of all places, everything's bigger in Texas, right? Well, used to be their energy grid was capable of taking care of the people in Texas until the EPA and other groups like the Department of Environmental Equality or Equality, whatever the hell it's called, the DEQ, when they came in and the EPA came in and restricted the usage of proven methods of producing fuel and energy. So anyways, that's a big deal. That's a big possibility. I mean, in your area, is the grid secure? I know in my area it's not. It just went off a couple of days ago. I don't know, maybe they were just doing maintenance, but it goes off all the time. And every time it goes off, my wife and I look at each other and go, yep, this is why we want to go off-grid and be completely independent. Not have a grid-tied system, have an off-grid system where it'll be completely independent of the grid. If we want to tap into the grid for something like charging the batteries or whatever, that's fine, but I don't want it hooked into the grid because they have control over your system then. And I don't like that. I don't want them having any more control. I'm not going to give them any more control than they've already basically taken. And so anyways, number 5, crime explosion. Obviously, this is one of the things I'm preparing for right now, whether that be violent crimes. They're just under FJB and his leadership. Crime is through the roof all around the country, even in small places that never had crime before. Now they're having it. People are cutting off catalytic converters. They had to lock up the spam in some restaurant or some store out in I don't remember if that was New York or where that was, somewhere up northeast. They had to put little boxes around the spam because so many people were stealing the spam. People are they're having to take the steaks off of the main cooler and put them behind lock and key because people are stealing steaks. What is that telling you about the economy and the situation here? It's telling me that more and more people are becoming more and more desperate, and as they become more and more desperate, they're gonna turn to crime. It's almost the oldest profession there is. There's only one other profession that's claimed to be older than that, but anyways, we're not going to go into that. But yeah, crime is through the roof. This is all because of Biden's leadership and people around him. When you threaten to defund the police and you do all these sorts of things that are showing your police force, like most recently, I read like yesterday or the day before, the Department of Justice has indicted and are charging 4 police officers for the Breonna Taylor mix-up that happened there. And if you don't know, that was it wasn't a no-knock raid. They had to knock first, but they were going on like a drug raid. Her boyfriend apparently was a big-time drug dealer, and she was handling the money. That's what the media leaves out of this whole equation. And also, the boyfriend opened fire first. Now, I mean, I get it. If I was in my house and suddenly someone kicked in the door, I would probably open fire too. But it's one of those situations that, especially if you didn't know it was law enforcement, if there was, maybe you didn't hear them say that. So I don't know all the particulars of this, but I do know this. These cops, under state law, were all deemed innocent. One guy got charged with negligent discharge or something like that. It was basically he fired his firearm and he shouldn't have. But regardless, the media, the mainstream media has tried to spin that into, oh, poor Brianna, she was doing nothing. And, it's sad that she died, no doubt about it. But her boyfriend was just as guilty for firing on the police. I mean, you just can't do that stuff and expect not to get smoked. I mean, that's just the way of the world. So we've got a massive crime and explosion all around the country. And, theft is through the roof, all this stuff. So I've been taking added measures to make sure every night, and even a couple of times at night, whenever I get up, whatever, if I get up to use the bathroom, I make sure and take my flashlight out, shine it out my windows, and look around my vehicles and make sure there's not some meth head underneath my vehicle cutting off my catalytic converter or something. I mean, it's just unbelievable that it's come to this. But it's going to get way worse, guys. So what are you doing right now? Are you taking steps to protect yourself and your family and your property against theft? If you're not, I suggest you look into that and do some of that, because it's very important. I mean, good fences are one thing, but good dogs are another thing you can do. Home alarms, car alarms, different things like that. I mean, it's time to pull out all the stops, because theft is going to shoot through the roof, especially as jobs are less and less available and more people are becoming more and more desperate. So just watch out, guys. Crime is coming to your neighborhood. Prepare yourself now. Number 6, revolution. So is it possible that we have either a traditional, 1776 style revolution, or a French style revolution even? And, I don't know. I'm just asking the question here. This is one thing that I'm preparing for, because eventually folks are going to get tired of all this crap that's going on. And they're going to start connecting the dots and going, hey, wait a minute. Who stole all my money? Who stole all my liberty? Who stole my right to free speech? Who stole, they're going to start looking around for these people. And inevitably, they're going to come with pitchforks and, shovels and things like that and other things. Or they could. This is just wild speculation. This is just stuff that I think could possibly happen, especially if Biden keeps doing these tyrannical things along the way, and just looking like a tyrant. I mean, that's the problem. The things he does makes him look like a Marxist that has no respect for the Constitution, and he's hell bent on using his executive power like a king. In my opinion, that makes him tyrannical, and the Supreme Court or whoever it is should be going, really the Congress should be going after him to try to impeach him, just like they tried to do to Donald Trump. But they're not doing that. And I don't understand that, except for there's a lot of rhinos in the House and in the Senate that hopefully they won't get reelected. Hopefully they'll be primaried. But do you agree with that? Could there be a revolt eventually where people are just so fed up with it? And I don't know what that's going to take. It's probably going to take massive starvation before people are going to really realize and start looking around and going, hey, wait a minute, let's cut through all the wokeism and all the crazy stuff and figure out who really did this. What policies made these changes happen? And it's pretty clear. It's crystal clear. When Joe Biden came in, he started cutting off our energy supplies and talking about how we needed to transition over to electric vehicles in an unproven system on a large scale. It's only been proven on a small scale, and that's fine. When, it should be like anything else. The market should dictate when electric cars come to the forefront and they're the predominant thing that people are buying. Not some politician. Not some politician that's been in Washington for over 50 frickin' years. I mean, it's just unfreaking believable that we're at this point. And I saw a chart the other day that talked about, it showed the age of most politicians over time. And back in the 80s, they were actually under 50. And now they're all way up above 50 years old. It's just unfreaking believable. We got so many people in there like Nancy Pelosi, like Joe Biden, like Chuck U. Schumer, and all these others that are just way past their prime, in my opinion. So anyways, could we see a revolution? What do you think? Let me know. Number 7. And this is a big one here. Super COVID. So what if, this is just, again, wild speculation. These are things that I'm preparing for, potential things that could happen. What if the next COVID is more effective? What if they've got it dialed in more? Or it's some other thing, maybe super monkeypox or something like that, that doesn't just go after homosexual people, it goes after all people. What if it's like that? I mean, we all know that they've got these biolabs all over the place. So what have they cooked up out there that they could release? Maybe it's Russia that releases it, or China, because we're pissing them off about Taiwan and Ukraine. I don't know. Maybe it's our own government. Anthony Fauci's hand is involved in it, or something like that. Who knows? What do you think? What are the possibilities of that happening now that they've run what seems to be a trial run, and it was very effective as far as like, spreading around on pandemic levels and getting everyone shut down. It's just very interesting times we're living in right now, guys. And remember, it wasn't the COVID that killed the economy. It was the reaction to COVID, and especially the way Biden has been running us right down the crapper since he took office. Everything. Shutting us down. Shutting down our proven, reliable energy sources in favor of something that his Chinese buddies will make tons of money off of. And then you've got other things going on, like the constant erosion of free speech. I mean, I don't know if you're following it or not, but this Alex Jones defamation trial is a big deal for anyone that produces content online, or works for a paper, or works on radio, or does anything like that. Because what it does is it sets a precedence where these other people are going to say, oh, you hurt my feelings. Oh, you misreported on something. Now I'm going to sue you. Sue your pants off. Well, what is that going to do? That's going to stifle free speech. That's going to stifle people from coming out with investigations, because they'll be afraid that if they get something wrong, they'll be sued to oblivion. So, guys, we're in shark-infested waters right now, and we're on the Titanic. A lot of people in the media are over there playing the violin, playing the drums, playing the bass, acting like nothing is wrong. Don't pay attention to that. I'm trying to tell you, you need to be looking for a lifeboat right now. 7 reasons I just gave you. I'm sure I could probably come up with 7 more given enough time. Let me know what your reasons for prepping are down in the comments. I always love reading them, guys. Thank you very much for being a part of the channel. I appreciate all the new subscribers we're getting all the time. New people, new faces coming in, making comments, things like that. I'm sorry if I can't answer them all. I try to, but we've got over 300 videos out there now, and I try to answer even the older ones. So oftentimes I'm answering technical questions about, generator repairs and things like that, or, working on old Chevy trucks or whatever. So I can't always get to your comments, but I'll try to at least give you a thumbs up or a heart or whatever, just so you know that I saw it. And God bless you all. God bless the United States of America, the Constitution, the Republic for which it stands. I stand for liberty. I hope you do too. We'll see you next time.